Hey, Undisputed listeners. Before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. Download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com now. Let's start the show. Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon, let's get to it. Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning, guys. How are we doing today?
Do what you did the last 3 weeks. I need that same energy that you had the last 3 weeks. Look into the camera. There, you can go right there.
Wait a second.
Do what you do.
Wait a second. Who picked my Cowboys to beat the Giants? I think Shannon Sharpe, the Hall of Famer, did. He was wrong again.
No, Skip.
Wrong again.
I told you. I said, Skip. They winning these games is going to make it hurt even more. It's going to make it hurt even more.
Well, if I had a coach, it wouldn't hurt so much.
Don't do that. No, I want you to do the energy, Skip. I need you to do it one time for me. Look to the camera and do what you normally do.
Let's start the topic, and I'm going to show you energy you've never seen on the show in the history of this show.
All right. I am ready for it. I may be acting as a part-time therapist today, but we will start with Skip's Cowboys, whose chances of winning the NFC East slipped right through their fingers. Dallas never led, but they had an opportunity late to take the lead when Andy Dalton threw a pick with under a minute and a half left. 2 plays later, the Giants fumbled the ball, and after some initial confusion over who recovered, officials conferred and determined that it was New York ball, allowing them to run the clock out and end the Cowboys' season. Shannon, it's officially over. What is the biggest reason the Cowboys lost?
The biggest reason they lost, they're a bad football team. They are a really bad football team. They beat no teams of their 6 wins. None of those teams that they beat made the playoffs. So that's what happens. They're a bad football team. We got to stop this. Skip has perpetuated this, Jerry Jones. But you know what? Let me tell you why they lost. People, let me tell you why they lost. They were holding back because their defense has been suspect all year, so the offense started holding back, so they wanted to make sure their defense was fresh for the offseason. You see how ridiculous that sounds, Skip? Look, Andy Dalton was terrible. We're going to talk about this a little later. This football team was terrible. All of the people that they were counting on to make plays game in and game out, week in and week out, did not show up on a consistent basis. None of them did. Andy Dalton, I got the best backup. That was the best money. That was the best money Derek could have spent. Ooh, Dak. I don't know if we're going to pay Dak. Now look at Andy Dalton. Look, first of all, the game should have never even been this close. Andy Dalton was awful yesterday. If the Giants could catch, this game would have been over in the first half. I got a few clips. I want to pull a few clips, Skip, because I don't really like to pull clips, but I want to show just how putrid Andy Dalton was.
You better get it all out of the way because I'm about to unleash on everything you just said.
You can unleash all you want.
You've never been more
You're home. You're going home. You can unleash because the last 3 weeks I didn't have your attention. You're out of the playoffs now. I have your undivided attention. Roll the tape, Jim. You're going home. Look at this. This should have been a pick six. To the house, that should have win. Yes or no? Thank you. I take that as a yes. Oh, look, what is that? Trying to force feed Gallup. Should have been another one. Bradford hardest side. What is this? Pick. But he played great. You're going home. You know what? I don't even want to talk. Just the mere fact that you're so upset, like the rest of the Cowboy fans, it does me good. Talk all you want. You can take the rest of the segment. The Cowboys are going home, America, and we love it.
You done?
I'm done.
You didn't. I'm actually shocked by how little you had to say.
I ain't got to say.
Because America, I got to get a new TV because I saw a whole different game, especially in the second half, than the Hall of Famers saw.
Second half.
I don't know. I got a black and white TV with little rabbit ears on it. I don't know. That's all I can afford.
That's
I live way down in the flats. Shannon Sharpe lives way up in the palatial estate of Bel Air.
Looking down at that sorry team of yours.
By the way, my team won more games out of division than any other team in the division, but who knew?
That's a terrible division.
Okay. Here we go. Here's what I saw yesterday. I'm going to give you, my team stunk up the first half. I don't know why. Once again, another big game, late season game. My team did not show up in the first half. I saw 2 personal foul penalties where I said, what was that about? Is that how you show emotion and you show energy in the first half? And I saw my running back right on schedule quit on my team once again, but I'm going to save that until later because Zeke flat out quit on my team at a crucial turning point in the first half that could have swung the game in my favor. But I'll get to that in just a moment because, to my team's credit, it regrouped at halftime, and it came out and flat out dominated the Giants throughout the second half. I don't know what you were watching. You were probably gloating and dancing.
I was gloating.
You're probably out in your backyard doing backflips. I don't know what you were doing.
I was working on my speech.
Here's what happened in the second half. My team won the second half 10-3, and obviously I'm about to get to this point. It should have been 10-0. But my team in the second half ran 46 plays to the Giants' 23 plays.
Yep.
My quarterback, Andy Dalton, regrouped, gathered himself, got his hand stepped on early in the third quarter by Leonard Williams, who weighs about 320 pounds, and stepped right on his left hand with cleats on because it was wet and soggy out there, and cut his hand badly, probably broke a finger, I'm going to guess, because that's...
his right hand?
No, his left hand.
Oh, is he left-handed?
Doesn't matter. Okay, yeah, doesn't matter, right? And my quarterback showed guts and hearts you will rarely see in a football game in the second half as he threw for 144 yards, but the Hall of Famer across from me says he was pathetic.
He was.
And I saw a guy who converted 6 out of 11 third and fourth downs. Is that good? I'd say that was sensational. I saw a team win the second half 10-3 by dominating the yards 194-97. And here's what I saw. I saw a turning point play with 8 minutes and 18 seconds left on a pass to Dante Pettis over the middle on 3rd and long. If we could see this play, please. And that's probably the best pass he threw in the whole second half. And Pettis catches it, and clearly I only needed one look to know that he stuck the nose in the turf to catch the football. You know it, and I know it. It was clearly not a catch. My coach could have just looked up at the monitor in the stadium, which he seemed to be doing, and take one look and realize it's not a catch. Would you agree it's not a catch?
I would have challenged it.
Oh, it's not a catch because our man Mike Pereira said, I have no doubt that it would have been overruled if it had been challenged.
You challenge it just cause.
So what have I had a problem with all year long? I've sat over here and said this 100 times through the season. I keep asking, what does Mike McCarthy do on the sideline? Because he doesn't call plays. He doesn't overrule or rule on special teams risk that they take. So he just sort of stands over there with his hands in his pocket, blinking and looking around like, am I the head coach? I'm not sure. Mike McCarthy is Mike McSleepy. He has challenged 2 plays the whole year. And I'm saying, who is he and what is he doing over there? It's like, you know what a pond looks like with a bullfrog on a lily pad?
I do.
He's like a big old bullfrog over there just on a lily pad, just sunning himself on Sunday afternoon. I don't know what he's doing.
So that's why they lost the game?
Yeah, absolutely, because all of a sudden they line up. He even had time because they took their time to get the field goal team on and to get Graham Cano set, and they didn't go on a quick snap. They just went ahead and kicked a 50-yard field goal that won the game with 8:18 to go.
Yeah.
So what would have happened if you challenge and it's clearly overturned, which it would have been in a snap? What would have happened? A 60-yard field goal. Do you think they would have tried a 60-yarder? I do not think so. A one-point game, 20-19, they'd say, I don't know. That's like the edge of Graham Gano's range. We can't risk that. We'll give the Dallas too great a field position.
How about this? How about with 8:18 to go, you score a touchdown? Would you have won the game?
Okay, the point is that they shouldn't have had their field goal. The point is they would have punted to us, and we were dominating them. We were moving the ball like crazy. What happened on the final drive? Look at these conversions. 3rd and 3, 3rd and 1, 4th and 2, 3rd and 1. And they get it all the way to 1st and goal at the 7-yard line. And guess what would have happened?
Go ahead.
If Mike McCarthy would have challenged, what would have happened? We would have just bled the clock out and kicked our go-home field goal, and we would have gone home to play Tom Brady next Saturday night in a playoff game. That's all it required. It clearly was on the head of the head coach. And you know what his quotes were? I didn't see enough to challenge. You didn't see enough? What are you talking about?
Can I ask you a question, Skip? What about the other games that they lost? Was all those because they didn't challenge?
Well, I don't care about that. I care about yesterday because that's to get in the playoffs.
Skip, you're a bad football team in a bad division. Why all of a sudden do you think all of a sudden miraculously you're going to be the Packers? You're going to be the Chiefs or something? You are bad. You've been bad the whole year. I don't care about that. I care about yesterday. You lost.
They were a 2-point favorite, and my coach blew it again. And I don't know. Maybe Jerry Jones hired him because he's even more of a puppet than Jason Garrett.
No.
Even more.
Oh, no.
And my team came back together in spite of the defensive coordinator and the new head coach and said, let's dominate. My team won the second half. Should have won it 10-0. Should have won the game 22-20. Yeah. Obviously, we're about to talk about Doug Pederson and that blunder in the nightcap, but I thought that Jalen Hurts would win that game, and he would have won that game if he had been given a chance to win it in the fourth quarter. So all I know is that my head coach stood over there like a boob, like a dolt, like McSleepy. That's who he is. He's Mike McSleepy. He just stood over there, and you know what? I'm ready to conclude you've been right all along. He is just an overrated product of Aaron Rodgers. Again, the two of them went together to a Super Bowl 10 years ago. Now we're about to find out if Aaron Rodgers can get back to a Super Bowl, which I have grave doubts about.
So let me ask you a question. Who's looked better apart?
Who's looked better apart?
Who's looked the best of the two, McCarthy or Rodgers?
Well, last year they were apart, and obviously Aaron Rodgers was terrible last year.
He sure would like to be terrible again, 13-3, and make it to the NFC Championship game. This time he's 13-3 and number 1 seed, but he looked terrible. But anyway, Skip, I'm trying to figure out. I've missed something. Let's go back. This is the 6th time since Tony Romo was the starter that going into Week 16, they had something to play for, and they lost. 2011, 12, and 13.
I don't care about
Hold on, Skip.
I just don't care.
I know
don't
you don't.
care.
You lost, Skip.
Yeah.
Let me talk.
Tony Romo's not there anymore.
The fact of the matter is, coming into Week 17 with something to play for, the Cowboys bucked. The Cowboys are in a terrible division, and they lost. And you're seething because for the last 3 weeks, you come out here, how about them Cowboys? And it's my turn to gloat.
In the second half, my team played exactly the way it had for 3 straight weeks. It dominated the game. It looked like the best team in the NFC least.
Yeah, hey,
it was there.
Your team dominated the game, and they still got outgained. Your team ran more plays, had to possess the ball longer, and you still got outgained in yardage. So what did you do?
46 plays to 23 plays in the second half, and my fool of a head coach just stands over there with his hands in his pocket and doesn't challenge a play that turns the whole game around.
Plays don't win you games. Points win you games. How many points did you score? Did you have more than 24?
All right, now let's go back to the flashpoint of the first half. Let's go back to what happened early in the game because all of a sudden, Andy Dalton, who got off to a horrendous start, he looked overmatched, overwhelmed, like the stage was too big for him. It was rainy. It was snowy. It was, and again, it's not like he hasn't played in that kind of weather in Cincinnati or Fort Worth, Texas. And
or Pittsburgh or Baltimore.
He threw a really nice swing pass, a lead swing pass to Ezekiel Elliott, if we could see this. And it went for 9 yards and a first down, and all of a sudden, Dallas had the ball 1st and 10 at the New York 16. They're down 6-0. And look, he waved out. He did it again.
He hurt.
This is the highest paid running back in pro football. Sweet swing pass, got him in the flat, got on the edge, First down, 1st and 10 at the 16. This is where your bell cow back, your lead back, the highest paid back in football says, feed me. This is where you see this. This is where you give it to Zeke and give it to Zeke and you give it to Zeke again. And he just ramrods it up the middle and bullies and punishes the Giants defense and takes it home. And all of a sudden you're ahead 7-6. It would have changed the whole momentum and the whole texture and feeling of the first half. And what happened? He's over there waving out. Okay. If he had gone to the sideline, he's over there the rest of the drive with the cape on. He's got his cape on. Right. If he had been seriously hurt, if he had pulled his hamstring or torn his hamstring and was out for the rest of the game, I would give you that. He complained later, my quad was bothering me. Your quad, baloney. He came back in the game and looked just fine the rest of the game. So how can you do that to your team? You know and I know he is the unopposed leader of the team with no Dak Prescott. They all say, he's our leader. We look to him for wisdom and advice and for him to set the tone. And he waves out of the game. Are you kidding me? If you'd been on that team, you would have said, okay, that's enough. We're out.
But let me ask you a question. Where's your highest paid receiver in the NFL? Where was he at? Where was Amari Cooper? What if Amari Cooper done last week? Skip!
He caught a ball that almost scored.
Hold on, time out. Amari Cooper had 9 targets, 6 catches, 41 yards, 13 yards for a long. He averaged 6.8 yards, less than 7. And you talking about he was good, making $20 million a year?
Yeah, I thought he was actually pretty good for the road. He was terrible on the road.
That explains why your team is terrible. Because as bad as their big dollar guys play, you still think they play good.
What about my running back? That's all that matters.
Exactly.
He's the highest paid running back in pro football.
Amari Cooper is the highest paid receiver. Woo. He makes $20 million a year.
You know what? All Zeke is anymore is a fullback. He can get 1 yard when there's no hole, but he can't get 8 or 9 yards when there's half a hole. That's the problem.
Can I ask you a question?
And in spite of all that, in spite of Ezekiel Elliott quitting, shutting it down on them in the first half, in spite of a defensive coordinator who was a disaster this year, in spite of a head coach who stands over there like a bullfrog on a lily pad, in spite of all that, my team played a tremendous second half. Dominated the game and should have won the game 22-20.
Hold on. The very thing that you criticized Jason Garrett for the last 3 years, his team does not come out with any emotion. They do nothing in the first half, and all you do is come hype and talk about the second half. Okay, they dominated the second half, but still got outgained, Skip. How is that possible?
Well, because of the first half, obviously.
Okay, then.
And would you believe that the new Packers head coach Matt LaFleur, would you believe he challenged the opening kickoff yesterday at Chicago because Cordero Patterson sort of muffed it out of bounds. He stepped out of bounds at the 1, and they allowed him to, they were going to put it out at the 20.
Yeah.
And again, he challenged it to his credit. Well, my coach doesn't do anything. I don't know what, he's semi-retired.
Wait a minute. Just 6 months ago, you was doing pom-poms. You was, we got a made man. Well, we got Mike McCarthy.
I did.
Get on Jason Garrett out of here. Now look at you. You're thinking the same tune because guess what? You're in the same situation. But at some point in time, you change coaches. You change defensive coordinators. At some point in time, Skip Bayless, you're going to hold these players accountable. And not just Zeke Elliott. Amari Cooper, again, was a no-show in a big moment. Remember last year in Philly? What did they do, Skip, to him in Philly last year? What happened with the Jets? What happened in New Orleans? There's a reoccurring theme here. You got CeeDee Lamb. He did it to you again, Skip. He dropped another one, another one. I told you.
He dropped one big ball late in the game. I will give you that. If we could see it, I want to be objective about this, but on second goal after a sack.
He dropped it.
I'm being objective.
He dropped it.
You know, he probably could have taken that to, I don't know, the 7 maybe, and it given him a little better shot on 3rd down and 4th down to get the ball in. He was obviously looking to run before he caught it, but he has had a very good year, maybe not quite as good a year as the rookie up in Minnesota.
Yeah, not quite as good,
but it was very good.
CDLs piled up. I told you, Skip Bayless, what was good. As a matter of fact, hold on, before we go any further.
Whatever happened to Jerry Jeudy?
You see him yesterday? Did you see him yesterday?
Did they cut him?
The longest pass reception by a receiver in the NFL this year. Really? 92, boned out.
Would you take him over CeeDee Lamb?
I would take Jerry Jeudy.
Stop it.
Give me Jerry Jeudy with a quarterback. Give me Jerry Jeudy with a quarterback.
Again.
Give me Jerry Jeudy with a quarterback. But that's not here nor. Can I get my cases? I told you y'all wouldn't have a winning record. So guess what? And we swept the Spurs. And Tampa didn't win the division. So I go from being 6 cases down to 5 cases up, just like that over the weekend.
I like my Super Bowl picks. I like Tampa, and I love Baltimore.
Baltimore. But no. Before we ain't talking about we got plenty of time. Skip, the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, is like February the 7th. We got a lot of time in between there and there. I want to stick to, like you tell me, stay on topic. Let's stick to the Cowboys. Your pathetic, putrid Cowboys. And I told you, I said, Skip, it's going to hurt you even more because you get so close. You can see it. You can actually see. And then you can't go in.
Yep.
Oh, boy, that hurt. I know that hurt, Skip. I know it hurt because there are a lot of people and everybody, we steal them boys. But you make no playoff noise.
You know why it didn't hurt? Because I was really proud of my football team.
Proud of what? Skip, hold on, Skip.
Love the way they played.
Hold on, time out, Skip. This is professional football.
Yep.
This ain't 7- and 8-year-olds when you get participation. And I'm proud of you, baby. You did a good job even though you didn't win. What the hell is that about? This is the NFL. And your team in the worst division in a very, very long time were the worst. But all you do is talk about, hold up. I ain't hear you mention Randy Gregory. He flashed. I ain't even hear you mention D-Law. He flashed.
I thought D-Law played well. Randy Gregory got doubled every time out. Because they saw what I saw, a difference maker.
I just want to know, if you're a top 5 player at your position as far as money, everybody underperformed this year. Everybody. That's why you're 6 and 10. That's why you're picking what in the top 10. You're in the top 10 picking, right, Skip? Aren't y'all picking like?
I don't even care.
Oh yeah, you care. That hurt. You did all that hype. No, we going to NFC Championship game. Oh, Jerry, I want to switch things around.
Help me out. Did I have my quarterback the whole year? No. I lost him in the 5th game.
There's a lot of people that didn't have their quarterback. If this team is as stacked as you said it is, they should be able to bring this thing home. And you had the best quarterback in the division. That's what you told me.
Yep.
Andy Dalton had won. He won 10 games his first 5 years.
Played like it yesterday. Played like it.
He played. He played. That's why they got him up out of Cincy.
Really? Boy, I thought he played really well.
Skip, I love how you did that. You talk about, look at these, what they picked up on 3rd down. They picked up 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4. They finished the game 6 of 17. So they picked up 3 of those first downs on 3rd down in the last drive.
What were they in the second half? I told you there were 6 of 11 on 3rd and 4th down. That'll work. That was all about Andy Dalton doing it with his arm and his legs.
They were 35% for the game. Is that good?
All I know is we should have won.
No, you shouldn't.
Challenge, win.
Skip, y'all have been, so what other games should you have won? Because you should have lost Atlanta, and then it made this moot. So all these, that's what you do. You only look at what you should have won, but what about the games that you should have lost?
All I care is when they hit 3 and 9 bottom, they said, let's play. And they won 3 straight games, and they were scoring big points. 30 and 41 and 37.
Bad team.
Really? San Francisco was a bad team? I didn't think so.
Skip. They down to their 3rd quarterback. They're down to their 4th or 5th running back. Look at all the guys they've had out with COVID.
Don't do what they did to Arizona? Yeah. Next week, they went to Arizona, held them to 12 points after my team scored 41 points.
And you do know what did Arizona do to you? Didn't Arizona rush for 7,000 yards on you guys?
Yep, everybody did.
You guys gave up 150 for that Rod Marinelli and Chris Sharpe pathetic defense that you said was pathetic last year. You gave up 150 more points this year with the same people.
And guess what my defense did yesterday to the New York Giants offense?
Nothing.
They were 0 for 7 on 3rd down. 0 for 7?
Daniel Jones.
My defense was pretty good.
Daniel Jones was 17 of 25 for 229. He had the interception, but that was Evan Ingram's fault. The ball hit Evan Ingram in the wrong spot, which is his hand. And his rating was almost 50 points, was 40 points higher than Andy Dalton, 29 out of 47, 243. 6 sacks. Dalton Schultz was your leading receiver. Really, Skip?
Andy Dalton had a higher QBR than Daniel Jones by 9. That's pretty good. So he outplayed him.
Daniel Jones had a higher score on the scoreboard than Andy Dalton. That means he won the game.
He had a higher score than Mike McCarthy had.
Don't do that, Skip. No. Oh, no. You had a made man. You see how on the weekend high does flip just like that. You go from 6 cases up to 5 cases down.
Yep.
Lickety split. And I'm going to get some more before the show over.
Really?
Yep.
How are you going to do that?
Because you're going to make a bet. You're going to make another bet. You just can't help yourself.
Well, if we want to go back to the history of the show, I believe I'm up like 75 cases total. If we want to do that. What's $1 billion?
Hold on. It's 2021. Oh. Wait, 2021. We done got rid of 2020, 2019, and 2021. And I'm in the front.
No mercy.
All right, guys, the Eagles took a 14-10 lead over Washington last night. Then it was all downhill for Philly after that. After a failed 4th and goal attempt, Doug Pederson yanked Jalen Hurts for Nate Sudfeld, who turned it over twice and finished with just 32 passing yards on 5 of 12 passing. Pederson said after the game that he was, quote, coaching to win. That is what he said. Shannon, what was Doug Pederson thinking?
I have no idea. Skip, I don't even know how Doug Pederson stood up in the locker room after the game and looked his team in the eye and said, I tried to win that game. Skip, it's 4th and goal. You kick the field goal, you got a tie ball game. Okay, now we play football. You go for it on 4th and goal and pass up a chip shot field goal, and then you take Jalen Hurts out. Now, maybe you've seen enough of that. Maybe you have a big enough evaluation of Jalen Hurts. You like, he's our quarterback moving forward. But I don't know how you come to that conclusion, Skip, because he was, again, he throwing the ball. He was not very good last night. He was 7 of 20, 72 yards, got sacked once. He had a 25 quarterback rating of 25. Come on. What is this? Skip, what the hell is that? Maybe that's my
turn?
No, that's why Jim Schwartz probably retired. Like, I don't want to be a part of this. He's like, hold on, wait a minute. Jim Schwartz said, ain't no hat and T-shirts, which means, Skip, ain't nobody going to be celebrating on my team. And he got, oh, no Fletcher Cox. Oh, no this guy. Oh, no that guy. And no Alshon, no D-Jack, no Miles Sanders. What the hell? And you going to say you actually trying to win the game. Come on, Skip. I get it. And Jason Kelsey said last week, winning games should trump any player evaluation. Skip, I'm trying to win.
He said it again after the game last night.
Yeah, Skip. And for me, look, I've been on some teams that weren't very good. I didn't make the playoffs every year. So, people, I want you to think that I made the playoffs every year. But, Skip, I'm giving it everything I got. You evaluate me on how I'm playing. Don't take me out just because of some bull jive. I don't know what the hell Dougie P. But it's, for me, if I'm Jeffrey Lurie, Dougie P is not coming back as my head coach. There's no way I can bring him back into this situation. There's no way. The players are not going to look at him the same, Skip. When you do that, Jalen Hurts was looking at it like, what the hell? Huh? I'm out for what? Skip, the man is just getting started. These are the type of games you want to see a young player and really evaluate him in. And you take him out for what? Skip, I don't know what this was about. I get it. You don't like the Cowboys. Once the Cowboys had lost, okay, now, hey, let's play football. And then you do this. You take Jalen Hurts out, and you pass up a field goal. Skip, I don't know what the hell was going on, but this is they need to go ahead and clean house. Now, we already know Pederson and Wentz. I don't see how they come back together, and I said that when he made that move. But I don't know what the hell Dougie P did with this, but they said he has a meeting. I heard Sal Palantonio, I heard some other people say he has a meeting with the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, not today, tomorrow. And if I'm Jeffrey Lurie, I got my feet up on the desk when he come in there, and I'm going to ask him, Doug, what the hell was that you did on Sunday night? Because I need some explanation. Go ahead.
Done?
Yeah.
If I'd been Jeffrey Lurie last night,
you'd have fired him after the game?
I would have marched down from the empty press box. I would have gone to the locker room. I would have looked in at him and said, could you come out here for a second, please? And I would have said, you are done as my coach. Unless you can convince me Jeffrey Lurie was in cahoots with Doug Pederson,
right,
and that they had conspired before the game to basically, quote unquote, fix the game so that they would lose and drop from the 9th pick in the draft to the 6th pick in the draft.
Right.
If you can tell me that, you got me. I'm not sure that's what happened.
He said he wanted to evaluate Nick Sudfeld. Skip, the guy's 27 years old, 4 years in the league, a 6th-round pick. Evaluate what? Nate, excuse me.
Yeah.
Nate Sudfeld.
It's okay. He can be Nick or Nate. It doesn't matter. Because he's Dudfeld. It was shameful what happened in the 4th quarter. It was hard to watch. It stained the integrity of the National Football League.
What would because I didn't hear the sound. What would the commentators say? What was Collinsworth and Michael saying?
They were trying to be nice about it, but in general, they were scratching their heads. Verbally, by what they didn't say, they were scratching their heads. Okay. But they did say that in their production meetings with Dougie P, that he had brought up that I do want to play Sudfeld at some point in the game. And they thought a series here, a series there, maybe.
Right.
But to give him the whole fourth quarter when you had a little chip shot field goal to tie it after 3 quarters. And I couldn't understand that sequence because Jalen Hurts got you down to 1st and goal to 5. Mm-hmm. You ran Clement one time, and I don't know where he came from. He just sort of came in the game all of a sudden. Yeah. And they ran him for a yard. And then what does Jalen Hurts do best? He runs
scramble by time. Yeah.
And he runs.
That's his first 2 touchdowns.
The read option.
Yes.
He does something with his legs to create arm.
Yes.
And instead, you're asking him to do what's hard down there at the 4-yard line because the end zone's so tight, is as a rookie quarterback with half your weapons out for the game, as you pointed out.
Yes.
Alshon's not there anymore. Ertz looks like he's playing half speed. I don't know what he's doing.
Oh, Dallas Goedert. They scratched Dallas Goedert, too.
They scratched him. So you don't have your red zone targets to speak of. Deshaun didn't play. I don't know what that was about. I don't know what any of it's about, but obviously Jalen had Bostic in his face on the 4th down throw.
Right.
And he didn't get enough mustard on the ball, but he's throwing to Quez Watkins. That's who he's throwing to. That's what you got left with. And I'm saying, what are you doing? This is a man who, with his backup quarterback, Nick Foles, hung 41 on Bill Belichick's defense without Malcolm Butler. Don't know what that was about. And this is a man who wrote a book that offseason called Fearless. Well, I'll give you that was fearless. What he did last night, that's like, I don't care what anybody thinks of me, but that was nutty fearless to me. That was like crackpot fearless, where I'm saying, what are you thinking? What are you trying to prove? Are you just trying to be different for different sake? You're just trying to show everybody you're in charge and you'll play Nate Sudfeld if you want because you think he's a fine young man and he practices hard and he's been with you for 4 years? That's how it came across. Now, let's get back to Jalen Hurts. I believe Jalen Hurts would have won that game because I've seen him win a lot of games like that. When you least expect it, he'll make another play. And then a play here and a play there. That's what he does. But if we could see, you've blasted him for his throwing. Let's look at 3 plays if we could. Let's look at the first interception by Curl. If we could see this. This is to Ertz. And if we could see what happened before that play, he just tackles Ertz and hangs on to him. He just, is that not pass interference? I mean, he just grabbed him and held on to him off his route. And
Skip, he went 5 yards, Skip. You can do that to 5 yards.
Like that. You can bump him once, but you can't grab him and hold on to him.
Okay, it's 5 yards.
Okay, so again,
okay, I'll give you that one.
Okay,
I'll give you that one.
He couldn't even turn his head, and the ball's gone, and into Curl's. Curl's just standing there like, oh, thank you. Mm-hmm. And then let's go to the next one, to Jalen Reagor, who then also got hurt and was gone after the first quarter. With 1:53 left in the first quarter, tell me this shouldn't have been caught.
It absolutely should have been caught.
Thank you. That's a sweet throw and should have been a pretty routine catch by your rookie that you took pretty high in the draft, to the shock of a lot of people.
Passed on Justin Jefferson.
You did. You passed on him. But you got to catch that. And then I don't know if he got hurt on that play, but he was gone for the rest of the game.
Yep.
Okay, so we got that one. And then there's another one to Quez Watkins that looks like it's going to be housed. He's got him where he rolls right and throws back. And look at the lane he's got right here, and he hits him right in the hands. Look at the lane. Yeah. If he hits that and goes, he might split him and be gone.
You keep saying that. I'm asking, okay, what raffle did number 80 win to get an Eagles uniform to go play receiver?
I don't know.
Skip, I had never seen this dude.
I don't know.
And then you see our Stego Whiteside.
I don't know.
Skip, we hadn't mentioned our Stego Whiteside all year.
He hasn't played all year, and he actually made a couple plays.
Yes.
Okay, so there are those 3 plays I showed you. And then mid-second quarter, if we could hear, I know you got the sound down, so I'm going to let you hear what Chris Collinsworth did have to say about Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
This is about halfway through the second quarter of this game last night.
Jalen Hurts really is starting to impress me more and more as a passer. He does a pretty decent job of putting the ball on the money when he has a chance to set his feet.
Okay, that's Chris Collinsworth, and he hasn't seen a lot of Jalen Hurts, so he's saying what I've been trying to say all along. He throws it pretty well.
But, Skip, if you want to evaluate, shouldn't you have left him in so you can get a...
Yes.
Chris says...
Especially in a game like this.
Thank you.
For the money.
You want to evaluate Nate Sudfeld, he ain't going to play?
No, and look, So what can Jalen do behind a line that you've told me all year decimated?
Get out of harm's way.
They're down to like third stringers except for Kelsey.
Skip, and you see what the right tackle that they started, they ended up taking him out and putting him back up. I said, hold on. You already down to your fourth. You put your fourth tackle in there. Scott said, man, y'all, man, if I'm Roger Goodell, I'm calling him. I'm saying, if you ever in this league again, because hopefully Mr. Lurie fire you. But if you ever do some mess like that, Skip, that was ridiculous. That was ridiculous, Skip.
It's just impossible. Then I also thought of this. If Lurie had already apprised Doug Pederson, you're coaching your last game tonight, was he just trying to stick it to Lurie? Like I'm just going to do outrageous things just to make you look bad?
You might think about that, Skip, but, I mean, obviously, it's just like when players get evaluated, coaches are getting evaluated, too. Other coaches look at that and they bring him in and say, okay, what was your thought process in Week 17 when you scratched, Fletcher Cox probably was legit because, remember, Skip, he left the Cowboys game. So that one was legit.
I'll give you that.
But Dallas Goedert and Alshon and D-Jack and all these other guys, why were you deactivating those guys? Why weren't those guys playing? And why did you make the switch? I mean, you only got four games on Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
Have you seen enough? And for everybody, Skip, that you don't realize this. Jalen Hurts finished the season completing 52% of his passes. Now, had he been able to qualify, that's 5 percentage points less than what Carson Wentz. Had he had enough passes, that would have been the worst in the NFL of anybody that qualified. So all this notion about Jalen Hurts is ready to take over, I haven't seen enough. Now, I'm not saying, Skip, he won't be. I'm just saying I haven't seen enough to say, okay, that's the guy. Let's blow this thing up. Wentz, you gone? We going straight full steam ahead with Jalen Hurts. I haven't seen enough. Now,
you see the 2 touchdowns last night?
Yeah.
2 runs?
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
He can run it. And for a second there, Washington was making the same mistake the Saints made. They were treating him like he's a pocket passer, Skip. They were running past him. What was he doing? Out the window he went.
But he can hurt you running up the middle as well as to the sides.
Yes.
And I told you, he has effortless acceleration where it's subtle and you get out on the field and you say, man, he's faster than I thought he was. And he's definitely stronger than you think he is.
Yes, but the thing is with him is you got to flatten off. Once you get even, flatten off. You can't run past him because he's really looking, Skip, like like a lot of guys, Mahomes, when he escapes, he's looking to throw the ball over your head. Aaron Rodgers, he escaped, he's buying time. He's like, I ain't dilly-dallying around. I'm finna go. I'm gone.
Okay, so the final head scratcher for me was post-game, Doug Pederson says, I was playing to win, but he also said yanking Jalen Hurts was not about performance. So how do those two jive? How do they go together? Because if it's not about performance, then you should have just left Jalen Hurts in, right?
If it wasn't about performance, you should have stuck with Carson Wentz.
Okay.
You say you wanted to win, Skip. I don't care unless Jalen Hurts was hurt. If Hurts was hurt, that's the only way the backup should have seen the field last night. That's the only way he sees the field. Any other way is unacceptable. And like you said...
Well, if he said after the game, I thought Nate gave us the best chance to win, right?
To win what?
Well, that's what I'm saying. But if he said, I thought he could throw it better than Jalen, then I'd say, okay, you took your shot. Sudfeld had a QBR of 2 in the fourth quarter. 2 on a scale of 0 to 100. 2. And he was a disaster. And it wasn't his fault because who could get thrown into that situation? Having played next to nothing for 4 years and you get thrown in to the biggest fourth quarter of the year as far as the country watching you. You know, the country's hanging on the outcome of this because it's going to be Giants. It's going to be
Skip, can I ask you a question? I want to ask Doug Pederson a question. Hey, Dougie, if you really thought Doug Sudfeld could play, would you have taken Jalen Hurts in the second round? If you thought he could... Now, he's been on your roster for 3 years coming into the season.
Good question, yep.
But you think he can play, but I'm going to take a quarterback in the second round. Not only did you just pay one $1 bazillion, you got another guy that you feel very comfortable with being his backup, yet you take another quarterback. So something's not computing in my mind. So,
I agree. So all I know is that took a lot of sting out of my Cowboys losing because if my Cowboys had won and that man, that coach of the Eagles, had done that to me last night, I don't think I would have made it in here today. Well, seriously. Well, I might have jumped, as in out the window.
I had a feeling I mean, you could tell the way early in the week they started talking about these players are not going to play. I'm like, what the hell? Okay, Fletcher Cox notwithstanding. You know, Goddard's going to be down and this guy's going to be down. And then he had the nerve to say, we were trying to win. Brandon Graham was out there. He was out there by himself. Oh, we had Darius Slay. Look, you got two basically of your best players out there.
Ertz.
Yeah. And we had, first of all, Ertz is not happy because you hadn't given him a contract. So he like, man, I'm not finna get hurt out here. I got a contract coming up. The cap is already going to be condensed. So at least if I go somewhere else, I'm going to be healthy. They're not going to take less money from me because I'm deemed. So I don't know what you were thinking, Dougie P, but if I'm Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, hey, in the words of Ricky Ricardo, you got some planning to do.
Mm-hmm. I would like somebody to explain to me how he's going to keep his job after today.
Yes.
Yeah, that one still. We're going to continue talking about that game. Did you guys see all the tweets from all the Giants players as well and how upset they were? Eli tweets
once every 2 years.
Exactly. He comes out to tweet about that. But Tom Brady, he wrapped up the season with a 4-touchdown performance, giving the 43-year-old quarterback 40 touchdowns on the season. It's an impressive feat for any quarterback, especially one in his first year on a new team. This marked only the second time Brady has ever thrown for at least 40 touchdowns in a season. So, Shannon, think long and hard here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how impressive were the 40 touchdowns for Tom Brady?
It was impressive. I had him, I think I had him at the beginning of the year somewhere between 28 and 32. I thought he would do that. I thought he would be double digits in interceptions, considering that guys that's normally in their first year, Bruce Arians, and he liking to throw the football down the field, he sometimes forces you to put the ball in harm's way. So I thought he'd be somewhere between 28 and 32 touchdowns, but double figures of interceptions, something that we don't normally see from Tom Brady. And so he exceeded what I actually thought he would do. No question about it. I'm not going to sit there and say he didn't exceed. But Skip, let's be real now. We got to be, let's be objective about this. 30 of his 40 touchdowns came in 10 games against teams that didn't make the playoffs. He's 1-5 against teams that made the playoff. He's 10 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Now, here's what is a non-playoff teams. First of all, he ended the season with 12 touchdowns, 4-game win streak. The Vikings are 25th in pass defense. Falcons are dead last. The Lions are 30th. Falcons, again, dead last. So he did that. But let's not pretend like he did it against the 85 Bears. Let's not pretend he did it against the 2000 Ravens. We haven't seen him play these kinds of games against the Saints, against Kansas City. Granted, he played the second half against Kansas City, but he didn't put together anything like this against the Bears, against the Saints. So for me, Skip, kudos. He did this. He did through 40 touchdowns at age 43. I'll give him a B for the season.
How about scale of 1 to 10? How high would you go?
7.5.
Okay.
7.5. If he had a couple of these games, like he had against non-playoff teams, against the Saints, or play games like that against Chicago, now I'm going 8.5, 9. But like you said, I will give him kudos. He exceeded. Even Bruce Arians said he exceeded his expectations. I mean, he finished the season 10th in QBR, 19th in completion percentage, 11th in yards per attempt, and he threw, 12 interceptions, which is the 6th most interceptions in the league. So I think it's a great season for him, considering. And if somebody would have told me that Tom Brady was going to throw 40 touchdowns, I said, man, if you don't get out of my face.
Somebody did tell you he was going to throw 40 touchdown passes, and that guy's sitting across from you, and I told you that before the year. He'll throw 40 touchdown passes.
And I told you to get out of my face.
40, and you laughed at me. You laughed at me. 40. So all of a sudden, when you're in it's like...
okay.
We got
that's what that was about? That was about the
40. Okay. 40 touchdown passes. Thank you very much.
That's a magical number.
You just saw the greatest 43-year-old season from a quarterback you will ever see.
That's the greatest 40-year-old season.
Okay, well,
40 and above.
No, you can have Patrick Mahomes, and God knows if we'll be sitting here to watch that, because it's a long way away.
That's 16 years.
But the point is, there's no way anybody's ever going to top this.
Probably not.
degree of difficulty, and by the way, I'm giving him a 10 out of 10 on the scale for degree of difficulty.
And what's
in a pandemic, you threw him to a whole new team with a loser's mentality, a team that went 7-9, an organization that had the worst winning percentage in all of sports history. The Succaneers. And in a pandemic, you took away their OTAs, you took away all their preseason
But
games.
you took away that from everybody else, too.
I got it, but he's having to start over, and you're not giving him any run-up. You're having to throw to guys in the park, and you get booted from the park because you're violating pandemic.
But you pretending like he's throwing to
quarantine.
Quez Watkins. He's throwing to Mike Evans, who's the first receiver in NFL history to start his career with 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He's throwing to Antonio Brown, who had 5 consecutive 100-catch seasons, has led the league in catches and receiving yards, and Chris Godwin.
Okay, so remember what he had to do on the fly. He had to instill and install the Patriot way in Tampa Bay. It's hard because all they knew was we get the sugar. We get lots of balls thrown to us. We don't win, but we get the sugar. And all of a sudden, you had to teach Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and halfway through the year, Antonio, you're not going to get the sugar nearly as much as you used to. We're going to win games because they went 11-5. That's the best record that franchise has had in 15 years. Mm-hmm. It's the first winning record they've had in 10 years. It's their first playoff appearance in 13 years because Tom showed them the way, the Patriot way of this is how we're going to do it. And what was his first comment about his receivers after the game yesterday? This is such a selfless group.
Right.
That's it. So you took all that talent that had statistical brilliance a year ago, and 2 of them made the Pro Bowl. Any of them make the Pro Bowl?
No.
No. Did they go 11-5? Yep, they did. And you took Tom Brady, and you said, bad fit, square peg, round hole. Can't make it in no risk it, no biscuit, palms away offense of Bruce Arians. What's the stat? At all the great quarterbacks he's coached, we can go right down the line. They all had a bad year, a high interception year in the first year. So he wound up with 12, and he had one yesterday where he hit little Scotty Miller, and as he went to the ground, he couldn't hold the ball and just popped it up into an interception. And lately, he has not been throwing. There's the Scotty Miller. This is the one pick he had in December. And see, I mean, come on. Are you going to fault him on that?
No.
No, thank you. Okay, so let's look at what he achieved in the Bruce Arians offense. He led the NFL in air distance, so nobody threw it longer and farther than Tom Brady did. So he's doing no risk it, no biscuit like crazy. Has he ever done that in his career? Maybe a little bit in 2007, maybe a little bit, but not like this because he ran away with air distance. By the way, Aaron Rodgers 8th in air distance, so it's 1st to 8th on that one. So you can see what was happening. And then if we look at touchdown passes, he tied for 2nd. And I know Aaron ran away. Aaron was phenomenal throwing touchdown passes. Okay, that was just silly what he did throwing touchdown passes. It's ridiculous. But Tom is tied for 2nd with Russell Wilson. Okay, that's pretty good. And that was the 2nd most Tom has thrown in his career.
Behind the 50.
Okay, behind the 50. So you got to give him that. Okay, then the yardage, 4,633. Not quite what Jameis threw for last year that led the league, but it was still 3rd. Aaron Rodgers was 7th. So it shows you he's bombs away. He's throwing for a lot of yards on a lot of deep throws. And in the end, if we could see the way he's throwing the football, you doubted his, you thought he had declined in arm talent, arm strength, whatever. Then let's just look quickly at the montage of his touchdown passes yesterday. I just don't see any. I don't see any decline in fastball.
This was a great throw here.
Yep. Okay, so he's rolling right.
He was throwing to Scotty. He was throwing a little Scotty Miller.
I don't know.
He was throwing to Scotty. See Scotty in the back.
Well, AB swiped it.
I ain't letting the ball pass me either if I may be.
Okay. And he's still lethal in those little short, the red zone throws. I don't know. I'm still seeing Tom Brady. I'm seeing 43 going on 23. And I'm seeing a team that, albeit feasting, especially the last 3 games on those bad those 3 teams, 2 Atlantas, obviously, and a Detroit. I saw a team that started to come together because he managed to force feed and fit Antonio Brown into this rotation when they were 6-2. And now AB had his biggest game yesterday, had 138 yards, and he threw him 14 balls.
Yeah, Tom
he got him his incentive.
Yeah, his money. Yeah, Tom got him.
Got him $500,000.
There's a lot of guys. Emmanuel Sanders.
He got it.
he thank God for Drew.
And don't think Tom wasn't cognizant. Okay, so the point is, they have come together. I don't love their defense. I don't particularly trust their defense.
The defense to be had, Skip.
But their offense. Ronald Jones came back yesterday from his broken finger, and he was running with force and suddenness. I think they are a very dangerous playoff team. I picked them to win the NFC. I'm going to stick with that pick. But you know what they're going to have to do now? They're going to have to probably, if they can win at Washington, and Washington does have what you always tell me, Washington can rush the passer.
Yep.
So can they get Brady off his spot?
Skip. Yeah, but Alex Smith, you see with the Eagles, they pressured Alex Smith, and he's like, what do I do? What do I do? What does Todd Bowles do? Nobody heats you up like Todd Bowles.
No.
The water's going to be boiling on Saturday. They're coming. Now, not only do they like to bring just JPP and Shaq Barrett, because Shaq Barrett didn't play yesterday.
No.
They like to blitz their interior linebackers also. They're going to heat him up. They're going to make him move. And I cringe every time Alex Smith goes back to pass, Skip, because if you notice he throws the ball and he picks that right leg up, he don't want anybody to get near it. Skip, I'm playing football, and it's a great story, but I'm playing football, Alex. I'm sorry, bro. They coming. I just want you to know, just prepare yourself. They are coming. Tampa's like, Skip, there's a reason why Bruce Arians played these guys. He wanted that 5th seed. He wanted whoever came out of the NFC East. That's what he wanted. The Giants, he wanted the Cowboys, he wanted Washington. He says that's the matchup. I ain't trying to fool with Seattle or New Orleans until I have to. You think I want them the first round? No. Let me get one. Let me get my feet warm first.
So, if the favorites win, chalk sort of holds. Then Tom Brady would go from winning at Washington to having to play Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field. Aaron's talking about let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Because he said it's different. Devontae said after the game, it's just different up here in January.
It is. And you look at the last couple of games, Skip, when it's snowing, you look at what he did against Tennessee, you look at what he did yesterday against Chicago, it was like it was 80 degrees to him. We haven't seen him play like that. I mean, it's hard to say that Aaron Rodgers elevated his play, but we remember, Skip, what was it, 2011? He was 45-6. He threw 45 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's even better than that this year. 48-5.
Except for one game at Tampa Bay.
Yeah, but y'all gonna have to.
He got off to a nice start, and then he threw what were nearly 2 straight pick sixes. And for the last 3 quarters, he failed to score a single point.
Don't worry about it. You'll hit that McCrinkleberry again on you guys.
Is he going to get his revenge? They'll have 2 weeks. They're the only team in the NFC that gets a bye this year. They will have 2 weeks to get ready for Tom Brady visiting up there, if Tom Brady can get past the Washington football team.
Yep.
And I think that game will be a little closer than they're a 7.5-point favorite. I would, if I were betting on this game, I would take Washington and take the 7.5.
Yeah, they front seven. I mean, the front seven is good, very good. I mean, they can get out the quarterback, but that back end, Skip. And you better get there. You better get there. Now, the thing is that you saw the field was a little wet, moist last night, slipping all over the place. That bodes well for Tom Brady because those D linemen can't just dig in and just come off the ball. So it's going to be very interesting. I don't think the game is going to be close as you think because of Washington's offense. I think there's going to be a lot of 3-and-outs. And the last thing that you want to do against Tampa is be 3-and-out and Tom Brady gets a touchdown early. You're in trouble.
No mercy.
What's up, Undisputed listeners? It's your boy, Shay Sharpe. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before 2 something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now back to Undisputed.
No mercy.
The Ravens made sure they punched their ticket to the postseason with a 38-3 statement win over the Bengals. Baltimore racked up 404 yards on the ground, and Lamar Jackson had 113 passing yards with an interception and 97 more yards rushing. Lamar and the Ravens will head to Tennessee next week, where they will look to avenge last year's 28-12 postseason loss. So, Shannon, will Lamar get his revenge next weekend against the Titans?
I'm taking the Ravens, Skip. They look good. The two teams that I fear the most in the AFC right now is Buffalo 1, Ravens 2. Skip, Buffalo look damn good, but the Ravens are not far behind. And what we're seeing is they can run the football. They're back to being the Ravens. They're back to bludgeoning people. People don't understand how hard it is to run for 200 yards, then 300 yards. They're one of the handful of teams in NFL history that's run for 400. They could have run for 500 yards yesterday. If Lamar Jackson had played the entire game, they run for 500. And that defense is starting to find their rhythm. Now, I'm not going to take too much into Cincinnati because Cincinnati, they spent all their ammunition on Pittsburgh. They were done. Yep. After they beat Pittsburgh, Skip, they were spent.
Yep.
But the Ravens look good. Lamar is Skip, I mean, as bad as Lamar had a little streak there, but he ended up throwing for 26 touchdowns with 9 picks. And he went over 1,000 yards rushing again, the only quarterback in NFL history to have 2 1,000-yard rush seasons. So he's starting to get back to being Lamar Jackson. And, Skip, the Titans' defense, they're terrible. Skip, I didn't realize they were that bad. I knew they were bad, Skip, because, you know, they gave a boatload of money to Jadeveon Clowney. They signed Vic Beasley. He had a cup of coffee and read a comic book, and they got him up out of there.
Yep.
The Titans' defense has given up 38 points in 3 of the last 5 games. They just gave up 230 to the Packers. The Packers can run the football, but they can't run it like Baltimore. And Lamar Jackson's legs. I'm taking the Ravens, Skip. This is a dangerous football team. You say you want to be streaking. You want to be peaking at the right time. They're peaking at the right time. Tennessee's going to have their hands full, but the Ravens going to have their hands full because King Henry, you saw what he did yesterday, Skip. I said, I don't know if he can get to 223. He said, man, watch me. I'm going to go get 253.
Yep.
He was sensational, but I'm taking the Ravens.
I picked the Ravens before we started all this. And by the way, just a quick aside before I forget, I want to congratulate the commissioner of the National Football League. They just got through 256 regular season games in the middle of a pandemic without a bubble.
Yep.
And they played all 256. Congratulations.
Yep.
Now, let's hope they can get through the rest. Okay.
Yeah, they really need to hunker down because, Skip, you can't be moving. Regular season games, you can play them on the Thursday and everything. But
I agree.
Playoffs now.
Back to Lamar. This is the biggest game of his career, and he's played in many. The problem is, in his biggest home games, he's been scary bad. Like inexplicably bad, un-Lamar bad,
right.
Un-MVP bad in home games, both the two playoff games, including the one last year to Tennessee, when they effectively took 3 weeks off because they had the bye, and they ran into the buzzsaw that was the Titans at that point on a Saturday evening at home, and they just didn't look ready to play.
They didn't.
And they fell so far behind. Lamar ended up putting big numbers up.
Historic numbers up.
Big numbers. But it didn't matter because they got so far behind so quickly, and it was on him because of the turnovers.
Correct.
3 early turnovers.
Yes.
Okay, so now you get a shot at revenge. You're not going back to the scene of the crime because it's not in your place, it's at their place. I actually like Baltimore more on the road than at home, and I can't explain why. They just haven't played well at home.
Right.
Does it matter there's no crowd or little to speak of? I don't know, maybe. But I also believe they're going to win this game. I picked them to win the Super Bowl, and for a long time, remember, they got hit hard by COVID.
They did.
Hard. And it took the life out of them. It took the heart out of them.
Lamar missed 2 games, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they had so many practices canceled and so many shutdowns of the facilities.
Moved the games.
Yeah, moving games to odd nights. And finally, on an odd, was it Tuesday night against my Cowboys, it took off. They won that game 34-17 because they ran for 294. And then they go to Cleveland and run for 231. And then against Jacksonville at home, they just routed them 40-14, but they had 159. And then Giants 249, and then, as you point out, 404 yesterday at Cincinnati.
What they said, it was like 12 yards, 20 yards short of it was the most rush yards gained in a 5-game stretch. They gained almost 1,400 yards in 5 games
in a row. So I'm with you. Lamar had shaky streaks this year, but somehow he started to figure it back out as he got healthier coming off COVID and got his legs back underneath him. And they are devastating on the ground. And if you don't watch it, he can be devastating through the air. If we could see that touchdown pass he threw to Miles Boykin yesterday, this one took my breath away.
Just a little flicker to the wrist.
Yeah, he just barely flicks it. And it's got juice on it. It's got real juice on it. Hits him right on the button.
Yep.
And seriously, I will give you this. It's not the prettiest throwing motion in pro football, but is it not the quickest release? It's just like, pew, it just comes out so fast.
And he had another one to Hollywood Brown in the back of the end zone.
Yep. Okay. So when he threw that, I said, you can win with that.
Right.
You can go places.
The thing that Tennessee does to you, Skip, is that you have to commit so much to stop Derrick Henry.
Yep.
And we saw what happened yesterday. The Texans were trying to stop Derrick Henry after he got going, and then they burned the quarterback on the boots. And he's picking up 10. He's picking up touchdowns. He's picking up first downs. And then they play fake, and then they hit A.J. Brown over the top. And you still got Corey Davis. So Marlon Humphrey and Pete's going to have a lot on their plate because you're going to have to drop that safety down.
Yep.
Now, they went and got Calais Campbell. They went and got Derek Wolfe for this game.
They did.
There's no love lost between Tennessee and Baltimore. This goes back to 2000, Skip, to Brian Billick and Jeff Fisher and Ray and Eddie George. And all. There's no love lost.
You were there?
But you go get those two guys for this game. Derek Wolfe and Calais Campbell, this is why you're here, to stop Derrick Henry.
It's funny, you played in that game that will be a mirror of this game.
Yep.
It will be physical.
Yep.
It will be, I remember coming down the elevator, I was staying at your hotel, didn't really know you at that point, knew your big brother really well. And I'm coming down, and all your guys are wearing camouflage.
The D was ready. I was like, man, if we
camouflage to a game?
And we got off to a little shaky start, Skip. I said, we got behind 7-0. I was like, man, we need to make a play. I said, well, here's now never. And Trent loads it up. They blow it aside me. He hit me. I run it down to the 1.
Yep.
We score 7-7. Skip, we only had like 140 yards of offense. But I said, I told Trent, I said, Trent, if we don't turn it over, they're not going to score again. They're not going to score again. It needs to be that type of physicality.
It will be. And I will say this about Ryan Tannehill. I've never been a fan of his. I wasn't a fan of his before that draft. I definitely wasn't a fan of his at Miami. But, man, he makes me rethink.
Skip, you see his numbers? His numbers is off the charts.
And what he did yesterday, I didn't get to watch much of this, but I saw the end of it, the game at Houston.
You can't throw it any better than what he threw it to A.J. Brown.
How do you get anybody open? The safety bit on the underneath, and all of a sudden he's single, and you just hit him right over the top in his hand.
I think Greg Williams called that defense. He had to call that defense. Skip, ain't no way I'm going single high safety. Why would you go single high safety?
I think there were 2 of them to start with, I thought.
Skip, I'm going to get look.
But what a throw and a catch that was. And then your kicker, I don't know how
because Gostkowski's in protocol.
Yeah, I know.
And this guy, they just signed him. I'm like, I thought Gostkowski was going. I'm like, who is this?
Well, they're lucky it wasn't Gostkowski because he just lost it this year.
And this dude, Skip, he like to lost it.
Yeah.
Because it hit
It's fading. If it's an inch, like a half inch more to the right, it's going to come straight
square,
back.
And it's bouncing straight back in the field.
I thought it was hitting it square, and it went sideways and over.
Oh, my, yeah. They had this game in the control, Skip. They were up by like 14, 15 points. And then Deshaun got hot.
So I was pleasantly surprised that most of the betting sites have this Ravens favored by 4.5-ish, somewhere in that range. They are going to win this game, I believe, and they're going to march on, and it's going to be very interesting to see what havoc they can wreak on the road.
I don't like the Kansas City because it's another situation you're going to talk about guys that, and they weren't looking the best down the stretch.
Yep.
So basically, Mahomes is going to have 3 weeks off.
Again, if the favorites hold, if the chalk holds, they
but even if they don't hold, Skip, I'm just saying Mahomes, he didn't play the last game, but he's not playing next week.
Lamar and company would go to Kansas City next. And that would be an interesting battle because that was Lamar's coming out party is when he went head-to-head with Mahomes.
He needs to, the people that's caused him the most problems has been Tennessee Titans in the playoffs and Patrick Mahomes in 2 regular seasons. He got close 1 year.
He did, but then the Monday night game this year was a disaster.
And last year was even worse.
It was.
So
here they come.
Here they come.
No mercy.
Hey, Undisputed listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you.
No mercy.
Well, it was a long season, but the Cowboys season came up just short yesterday. Dallas never led, but they had an opportunity late to take the lead when Andy Dalton threw a pick with under a minute and a half left. 2 plays later, the Giants fumbled the ball, and after some initial confusion over who recovered, officials conferred and determined that it was New York ball, allowing them to run the clock out and end the Cowboys season. So, Shannon, how much of the blame does Mike McCarthy deserve here?
He deserves a lot of the blame, Skip. I mean, Skip, you know, in Dallas, it's always the coach's fault, especially since Jerry's been there because it's so easy for him to remove him. I mean, if you're a fire guy that wins back-to-back championship, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters.
Although Jason Garrett stayed for 20 years.
But you got to let him have his way, Skip. Now, you got to let him address the team after the games and before the games and all that stuff. And you know Jimmy wasn't having that. Skip, look. Sure, Mike McCarthy should have challenged the catch or the non-catch yesterday. But one challenge, all that would have done would have made people like, we made the playoffs, and you wouldn't have really saw the forest for the trees because you had a bad football team. You're in a bad division, and you're one of the worst teams in that division. So all that challenge would have done would have made you look, we made the playoffs, we made the playoffs. Because remember, Zeke kept saying, it doesn't matter. As long as we win the division, our record could be 14-2, better, just like anybody else with 14-2 record, something to that effect. But you overlook it. See, Jerry needs to evaluate the player and not the name on the back of the jersey or what's on the front of the jersey. Just because they put that Cowboy uniform on, that doesn't mean they're great, Jerry. Just because you pay them a ton of money, that doesn't mean they're great, Jerry. And I think sometimes, Skip, Jerry thinks if I pay a guy a lot of money, he's going to be his big dollar, Skip. If you really look at it, at its crooks, if you look at his big dollar guys, they didn't come through nearly enough this year. There's a reason why Aaron Rodgers make the money and Mahomes and certain guys make money. Skip, I got to count on them. If I play 16 games, 14 of them, they got to deliver for me. Amari Cooper didn't do enough, Skip. Can you remember one game we said Amari took that game over? Can you say one game? Woo, D-Long took that game over. He had one game all year. Not for $21 million. I need 7, 8, 9 of those. I need Aaron Donald. I need T.J. Watt. That's what I need from him. And I didn't see it nearly enough. Now, the coach is going to take the lion's share of the blame, and rightfully so. That's what, because they say, well, I can't fire all these players. I can just get rid of the coach. But Jason Garrett don't look so bad. I think you feel worse about Mike McCarthy right now than you did all last year about Jason Garrett.
Probably I did. At least Jason Garrett tried to do something.
He would.
Occasionally. He would go for it. He would challenge. He would risk. He would act like he was alive on the sideline
Yeah, see,
to a fault.
Oh, now you like clapping. See, that clapping was to let you know he was still there. You don't get a little golf clap.
Okay, obviously, before I answer this question, what happened last night with Doug Pederson and poor Nate Sudfeld rendered all this moot. But I'm just taking this game in a vacuum yesterday.
Yes.
And all I know is that 75% of the blame for this game is going on the head coach.
75?
Yeah, and I'm saying that because I give you, my team stunk up the first half. My highest paid running back in football stunk up the first half by waving out. I'll get to that in a moment. But somehow, when I thought all was completely lost at the end of the half, they kicked a cross-country field goal to cut it to 20-9, and they go to the locker room, and somehow they fixed it physically and mentally in the locker room because they came out and they dominated the second half against a team that was on fire in the first half. They shut them down. They held them to 0 for 4 on third down in the second half.
They did.
They dominated the ball because they ran 46 plays to the Giants' 23 plays in the second half. That's twice as many. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the yards were completely tilted in favor of Dallas, 194 to 97 second half yards. My team was in command of the game on both sides of the ball until a play that required the coach to make a quick decision, a gutsy decision, but just a pretty routine decision for a head coach in my book, a Jimmy Johnson memorial decision, because this would have been Jimmy's piece of cake decision.
Yeah.
That's Jimmy taking one look, because the thing, and again, it's probably unfair to compare Jimmy Johnson to Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, it is.
But Mike McCarthy did win a Super Bowl, so we got to kind of put him up there in the same
I think the thing you challenge it for the simple fact is this is going to be a field goal game.
Yeah.
So let the field goal be if I make the field goal, I win the game. Not they end up kicking the field goal and win the game.
All right. So this is a throw on 3rd and long to Dante Pettis, son of Gary Pettis. You remember the great center fielder, played for the Rangers. I covered him for a while. What a great player he was, six-time Gold Glover. So Dante Pettis from University of Washington makes a nice dive for the football on a low and away throw, but he uses the ground to secure it. He sticks the nose of the football in the turf. I needed one quick look at a replay to say, not a catch.
But Skip, that's what you got somebody upstairs for.
I got it. You got a staff upstairs. You're Mr. Analytics.
They got scared.
Okay.
Because they saw what Coach Belichick did on Monday night. They're like, if I get it wrong,
is he going to throw the phone?
Exactly.
Okay. So Mike McCarthy had time to look up at the big monitor in the stadium and just watch it himself. And what were his quotes? He says, we felt like it was kind of a bang-bang type of situation. And the fact of the matter, we were in a tight game, and the 3 timeouts we wanted to preserve at that point. Well, you did?
Skip, in a situation like that, ain't no we.
So
it's you.
We just didn't think there was enough information to overturn it. Our man Mike Pereira immediately said live on Fox that he has no doubt, no question in my mind was his quote that the officials would have reversed the call. No doubt?
Skip, I understand. In the offseason, y'all want to get together, you and Jerry, it's a we. But in a situation like that, it's a you, Skip. There's a reason why you got the red flag. They don't give red flags to all the coaches. One coach get the red flag.
Okay, so I've brought this up 10 times on this show through the season. I've asked you, what does my new head coach do during games exactly on the sideline? Because he lets old Bones that you watch grow up, right? Bones Fossil.
Special teams.
He lets him pull the trigger on special teams if they want to go for a fake punt deep in their own territory against the Washington football team on Thanksgiving. Remember that?
Yep.
It was a horrendous play design, and they went for it on 4th and long in their own territory early in the fourth quarter. But Mike McCarthy has nothing to do with that. He gives him full leeway to go for it.
Right.
And does he call a play? No, he doesn't call a play because they kept Kellen Moore. I thought he was gone to Boise State, and he stayed.
Yeah.
And
I guess he's the coach of waiting.
I guess so. So he's got full control of the offense, which brings me to Mike McCarthy, or is it Mike McSleepy? Is he just an old bullfrog over there sitting on a lily pad sunning himself on a Sunday afternoon? I don't know. Hands in pocket, looking around like I'm a not so innocent bystander.
Maybe he was thinking like you. We're dominating this game. Even if they do kick the field goal, it's not going to matter. We're going to go get a touchdown and win the game.
Okay, but fine. Here's the problem with that. It's a 50-yard field goal, and Graham Gano's very good. He's got a 63 on his resume a couple of years back in Carolina that actually beat the Giants at the buzzer to win a game like 33-31.
Right.
But the point is, you want to talk about dicey.
Yeah, you ain't kicking no 63-yard in that weather.
Okay, and it swirls up there in the Meadowlands. You know how hard it is to kick up there. In fact, my guy Zerline was money yesterday.
Yeah.
He was tremendous.
Yeah, but that's 51, but that's another 12 yards.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm trusting anybody as good as Tuck is. I don't know if I'm trusting Tuck in weather
it
like
went
that.
from 50 back to, if you took the 10 away, it's to 60.
Right.
Okay? Are they going to risk a 60-yard field goal from the 42? Because you're going to give Dallas the ball. If you miss it, they're going to get the ball at the 42-yard line.
You punting.
Okay? You're going to punt. Is my team going to win? Well, you'd feel like the momentum would continue to swing to Dallas. And I love the way they were moving the ball. And they still, even after the field goal, they moved the ball. And here came Andy Dalton, and he converted 3rd and 3, and then 3rd and 1, and then 4th and 2, and then 3rd and 1. And they were all sweet plays. All of them. He converted one with his legs, and he had a nice throw to Dalton Schultz on it's kind of a pick play, but where the wide receiver blocks for him. CD came strong and blocked for him, and he got loose, and they get it all the way down to 1st and goal to 7. Well, if they had to punt, you'd be in position A. We'd be in the old catbird seat, right?
Yeah, you could have kicked the field goal and won.
You just say, let's bleed the clock now on 1st and goal to 7. Let's bleed it down to how far we could bleed it to seconds left.
Well, how about this, Gip? You just do what you normally do because you don't score in the red zone anyway. So
okay, just do what you normally do, okay? And just let the clock, don't snap it until you have to snap it. And kick the chip shot field goal after 1st and goal.
You know y'all lost that game still, though.
Huh?
Yeah, it's the Cowboys.
No.
You remember what happened?
This team was different. This team caught fire.
Y'all did that against Seattle that year. Remember when Romo fumbled it? Whoa.
That's forever. That's ancient history.
But that's
Tony Romo.
That's your history.
I know, but history doesn't dictate what's happening right now.
Yeah, but
it was the worst division in the history of pro football, and we should have won it.
Hold on, time out. So history doesn't dictate, but you tell me that about Tom Brady all the time. You say Tom Brady's the guy. I don't bet against him. So you're betting on his past. You're betting on his history.
Okay, but that's a body of work.
Yeah, Cowboys got a body of work.
Okay, but Brady built the body of work. You're talking about Tony Romo.
Cowboys.
Tony Romo doesn't play anymore.
Dak Prescott, all he had to do was win 2 of the last 5 games. What did he do?
And I was very disappointed in him. Okay, but that wasn't because he upchucked.
He did.
He just didn't play very well.
Whoa. It's called upchucking.
Okay, but did he throw a late interception that cost the game? He did miss Tavon Austin with a deep throw at Philadelphia.
Did he throw any touchdowns to win the game?
Nope, he did not, and I will buy that. But it's a Mike McCarthy who I look back. What's his body of work in his first year in Dallas? What's the one thing that was memorable that he did? He smashed a watermelon.
I guess they didn't do that. They didn't do that on Saturday night, did they?
I don't know.
Because I know
idea.
They talk about it when they win games. Oh yeah, we did that, and Mari got in on it. When they lose, I don't hear nothing about what y'all do the night before the game when y'all lost.
Because they smashed a watermelon at Minnesota and they won 31-28, and he gloated about it. He crowed about it. I came up with the watermelon. You did? Yeah. And you were offended by it? You should have been offended.
Still am.
And then the captains apparently weren't offended because then Amari, as a captain, he smashed one a couple of games later.
So I want to know what they did the night before this game.
I'm going to bet they smashed a watermelon.
Oh!
But we didn't hear about it, fortunately, yesterday. So I'm letting McCarthy off the hook for what happened fairly early. It was actually 8:39 left in the third quarter, because remember, they cut it to 20-15, and then they just kicked the point. Well, I'm good with that. He's Mr. Analytics. I thought
analytics said you go for 2 and make it a 3-point game.
Okay, but he said it's too early to go to analytics, and I would agree with that. That's too early to start chasing that extra point, to me.
I was trying to tell you, I said, Skip, it's easy to be made when you got guys, your only 2 quarterbacks you've ever known, got 5 MVPs between the 2 of them and 3 Super Bowl appearances with 2 Super Bowl wins on their resume. So how do we really judge you as a coach? Now we're getting an opportunity to see. With no Brett Favre and no Aaron Rodgers, you tell me he looks anything but an average football coach.
It felt like he got exposed this year because he seemed lost most of the year. So what was everybody gloating about last week? Zeke has become our leader, our spokesman, our fountain of wisdom. And what did my man Zeke do yesterday?
He hurt.
He caught a sweet swing pass.
Skip, you see the man pull up.
Can we see that one more time? Yeah. Was he even limping? I don't
limping.
even know what it was. This is the best throw Andy Dalton made in the first half, and it gets him.
Oh, yeah. You see it pull up. You see how he got a little hitch in his giddy up. Yeah. I saw it.
Out.
Yeah, he got a little hitch in his giddy up.
You have it 1st and 10 at the 16. You're down 6-0 because they missed the extra point kick. And instead of
watch this kid. You see, yeah.
Are you going to be your bell cow running back,
well,
the highest paid running back? No, you wave out just as he did a year ago at Chicago. Remember that?
Hold on. Woo. What about your guy, Tony Pollard? You love Tony Pollard. That's Tony Pollard time.
Do you know
it's
how that
TP
takes the heart out of your offense? When you think, oh, we're cooking. We got it. We got it all the way down to 16. He's going to bang it home. Let him just lower his head and run through holes that aren't there.
Skip, you got the best quarterback in the NFC East. And it all bring us home. Hold on, you got Amari Cooper.
Do you know how it takes a heart? If you'd been the tight end on that offense, if you'd been before Dalton Schultz yesterday.
Yeah, you make a play.
Right? You look around in the huddle like, what's he doing?
We got this.
And then he came back in, and he looked fine. He wasn't hurt. Oh, my quad was bothering me a little bit.
That's what
it was?
Do. You look around in the huddle, you say, hey, Cadre, it's your turn to make a play.
Yeah.
Jermaine Lewis, you need to make a play here.
Okay.
Hey, I got something on this one.
Okay, I got it. But that's a championship team, and this is not a championship
exactly.
team. This is a team. Who is the best player left on this team? Most people would say Ezekiel Elliott, right?
You told me it's Amari.
Well, no, but most people would say it's Zeke.
What about,
right?
hold on, I wasn't in CD Lamb to make the plays. You remember you talking about CD? Oh, CD, he ran it. Oh, CD, that's my guy, yards after the catch.
Yep.
What happened?
It was. Well, he was looking to run yards after catch on 2nd and goal after Andy Dalton got sacked at the end. And he dropped one, hit him right in the hands, and he was looking to run it down to the 7, maybe the 6 or 5, and he dropped it. I will give you that.
Your guy, Amari, hadn't come up big since that overtime win against Philly 2 years ago.
I
remember that monster game?
Signing him was damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you don't sign him, guess who was going to?
Washington.
The winner of the NFC East, ultimately, the Washington football team, according to all the reports, was poised to sign him.
I just need Amari. Amari got to be that dog. You look at D-Hop, you look at all those top receivers.
Yep.
That's what they say he is. He's a top receiver. They paid him as such.
They did.
Skip, they take games over. When is Amari going to take the game over for you?
He'll take one over at home occasionally. On the road, not so much. I didn't think he was awful yesterday. He wasn't as awful as he was last year at New England and at Philadelphia.
You see Stephon Diggs?
Yep.
You see Justin Jefferson? You see them guys?
How about Devontae Adams?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now he getting paid like that.
Yep.
I need him to give me that kind of production. Yeah, I mean, you look at his numbers like, man, look at all these yards. But where's the game that you say, man, Amari took that game over?
Oh, there were a couple when he first got there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It had you all gassed up. We got us a #1 now.
Remember what they did to Carson Wentz in Philadelphia in overtime?
Yeah.
Remember what happened?
That was the last time he played big. But Skip, he's been a lot more no-shows than shows because remember now, the mere fact that your coach take the #1 receiver out and replace you with a tight end, can you imagine them taking Devontae Adams out and say, Tanya, you got this from here on out?
No, I can't. The biggest no-show yesterday was my head coach because he's no-showed the whole year. A not-so-innocent bystander, Mike McSleepy.
No, I told you. Let me ask you a question. Y'all still them boys? Y'all in them boys no more?
I remember the early excitement from you about your head coach. I do remember that.
Jenny, you remember last week somebody came out here, they was dancing. They dancing and everything. Hold on, what did they say?
I just danced on Mike McCarthy's head.
Said a Christmas wish. It didn't come through. I'm sorry. The NFC East has been a wild ride all season, and the drama continues.
No mercy.
With a 2-3 record and only one game of shooting over 50%, Steph Curry admitted he'd heard the chatter about him losing his touch, and he made a statement last night by dropping a career-high 62 points on the Blazers. Curry went 8 of 16 from deep, and after the game said, quote, "Cue the Jordan meme, right? I take all that personally." So, Shannon, is this a sign of things to come from Steph?
Steph is asking Curry a bigger burden. There's no Clay. There's no KD to space the floor, and he's getting those looks that he wanted to take. As Dame said, he used to take shots from half court. No problem. We can make that up. Now he has to be more cautious of when and how he shoots the basketball. And so it's easier for teams to lock in because who else? Kelly Oubre is nice, but I'm not worried about him beating me. Andrew Wiggins is okay, but I'm not worried about him. All the focus, but he got it going last night. You saw the montage, a 5-minute video, Skip. The guy made 105 consecutive threes. Skip, nobody else can do that. It won't ever be done again. You ain't making that many threes. You give somebody 105 shots, Skip, they probably can't make 50 of them, let alone 105 consecutive. But it was foreshadowing. And plus, who's on the other side? A lot of guys, the guy that a lot of people say is now the best point guard in the NBA, Dame Lillard. And when you see a peer that's comparable, and people are like, well, yeah, he up, okay. Me, 2-time league MVP,
yep.
3 chips. He better than me now. I'm having a little rough spot. Now all of a sudden he better than me. Okay. Well, this is what I'm gonna do for y'all. And like he said, and they do take it personal. That's the Skip. That's how you get to be great. You take everything as a slight, and you go. He wanted to prove, because what they say, man, he can't get that shot off in the NBA. He ain't gonna be able to take them logo shots, the shot that he's shooting at Davidson. That ain't gonna fly in the NBA. Okay. When you can handle the ball like he can, because he can get it. I mean, the shots he was making last night, Skip, you just look to the coach, what the hell you want me to do? Hey, call a play on offense, because that's all you can do with that. Those guys get it going, Skip. You just, hey, he got me tonight. That's all you can do, Skip. He got it going. Just chalk it up.
And I agree with your conclusion. It was one crazy hot night for a guy who can get crazy hot. And by the way, I love Steph coming out of Davidson, and I fought back in the days I was on the other network. He should be the first pick in the draft over Blake Griffin. And I think I was proven right about that, although Blake has impressed me. He's been a little better than I thought he was going to be, but he hasn't been a 2-time MVP.
No.
Okay. And I agree with you. 105 even corner threes in a row. It's
105
impossible.
anything, Skip. Layups.
It's impossible. I still have a hard time wrapping my head around it. I still wonder, did it really happen? Because even for that guy, that's virtually impossible, and he did it. That's Ripley's believe it or not. Because
think about Skip when the 3-point, granted, it's Sunday, he's able to take his time.
Yep.
But a lot of times they get tired, they get fatigued.
Heck yes. 105 straight shots?
And with the corner 3, Skip, if it don't swish, it's coming out. It's coming as simple as that.
You get no breaks at all.
None.
Unless you're Kawhi Leonard in Game 7 of the
hit
Eastern
the rip,
Conference
boom,
Finals.
boom, boom.
Yeah. I'll bet he didn't have one of those in that 105 run.
No.
So I want everybody to realize and remember that going into last night's game, in the previous 5 games, all counted, all regular season games, Steph Curry was making 32% of his 3-point shots. Think about that.
Yeah.
And I want to remind everybody that in their opener, the Golden State Warriors got blown out by the Nets by 26. They lost at Milwaukee by 39. They beat the Bulls by 1. They beat Detroit soundly at Detroit. I'll give you that one. It's okay.
Yeah.
Then they go to Portland, and they're going to play a 2-game set with Portland. The one at Portland the other night on Friday night, they lost by 25. And then they got even last night and won by 15 because Steph scored 62 points. And I agree with you. Dame actually did an interview on the Golden State Broadcasting Network in which, to your point, you paraphrased it, but he said he's talking about Steph. Damian said he's saying it's tough to get these quality looks right now. You don't really have the luxury to just take one from deep just to be taking one. So he's saying, back in the day when you had all that
Clay, you got KD.
Yeah, you could just jack one to jack it. And if it went in, fine. If it didn't, nobody really cared.
Yes.
And I thought it was very significant that his friend Draymond Green, after the game last night, gave him what I consider a backhand compliment. He said, Steph has a tendency at times to kind of F around with the ball.
Right.
You see this one? There was no effing around tonight. Everything was shot or attack. So he wasn't doing any whipped creams between the legs. He wasn't messing around with the basketball because he gets a little too cool for school occasionally.
What has Kyrie been doing? Kyrie's had the ball on the string. To start the season. Everybody's talking about, look at Kyrie dancing with the basketball. It's Steph like, hold on, wait a minute now. Y'all know I can dance too, right?
He can dance.
And get these threes off in you.
Okay.
And then, like I said, Dame, a lot of people say, well, Dame is the best point guard now.
Yep.
He's like, okay.
Okay, so last night he said, watch this.
Yes.
And we all watched in awe.
Right.
Because he's certainly capable of that because he won in 2015, 2016, he won back-to-back MVPs,
right.
a unanimous MVP, right?
And see, the thing, what makes him so tough, Skip, is that he's continuous motion. He moves without the ball, so he's constantly moving. So you got to be always, and they're always looking to set screens for him. Backdoor, they back pick you and all kind of, and they say, like, well, where'd he go? And he's letting the three go. But then if you got Clay spotted up, what you gonna do? You can't help off one another because Clay's release is so quick. He don't need but a half an inch, and it's gone. So
I've said this before, and last night started to get under my skin a little bit again, but Steph is too good to hot dog as much as he hot dogs. And I know it's entertaining and he's having fun out there, but after a while, it's like, just stop, just play. But we get a lot of, a lot of airplaning, and we get a lot of,
hey,
I see you. Okay, we get it. In the mouth guard, he's chewing on it.
He probably know them things down. He probably got like 100 of them.
He must have 100 of them. But after a while, just show me, because this is your year.
Yeah.
Boy, if you can get in the MVP conversation with this team.
No, I don't think he can get in the MVP conversation, Skip, because I don't think they can win enough games. I mean, they 3-3, but I don't think they can win enough games.
Yep.
He's gonna have to have like 5 or 6 of those. He's gonna have to have one of the James Harden type seasons where James throwing a couple of 50-point triple doubles. He have a couple of 60s thrown up in there, and he has a streak where he goes like 35 straight games with 30 or more.
But with this team, even if you make the playoffs, remember Russell's done it, right?
Yeah.
But you'd have to do something extraordinary.
Yes.
You'd have to make 48% from 3 as the year goes on.
Yes.
You just keep making them like crazy, and you carry them to the 7 or 8 spot.
Yeah.
Then you'd be in the conversation.
I don't even know what 7 or 8 spot to get you in the playoffs. Maybe 4 seed. That's the lowest. Russ got won it with the 4 seed.
Yep.
And that was a triple, Skip, that was a triple-double season.
No, I know. So you'd have to do something statistically that we just be in awe over.
Yeah, you would have to average like 40.
Right, like that. Okay, good luck.
No mercy.
Ezekiel Elliott finished with only 42 yards on the ground in the Cowboys' 23-19 loss to the Giants yesterday. It was the running back's 6th game this season with fewer than 50 yards rushing, and he finished with his lowest total rushing yards of his career at 979. So, Skip, can the Cowboys make the playoffs next season with Zeke as their lead back?
Shannon Sharpe, you got me today. I do not love my team's chances going forward with Dak Prescott or Ezekiel Elliott. Because I have a quarterback who wants far more money than I believe he's worth. I like him, but I don't love him that much. And I like Zeke, but he is now making far, far more money than he is worth at this stage of his career.
He's still only 26.
I got it, but I believe I was first to market with this. He still looks like he's running in Cabo sand to me. He has lost his burst. And now, repeatedly, when I need him the most, I can't trust him to be there. Yesterday, he waved out first quarter with some kind of weird, mysterious injury. 1st and 10 at the 16, down 6-0, when you have a chance to seize control of the game because you could say, hey, I'm the best player on the field. You can't stop me. And I thought it was his moment and his time, and he waves out. And if he was truly hurt and could not return to the game, I'd be good with it, obviously. He returned to the game and looked just fine to me a couple of series later. What? So now I've got a Zeke who is still very good at making something out of nothing, because that half-yard run at the goal line yesterday, that was really good. If we could see that, it's a half yard, but there was nothing there, and he got home. And here we go. And there's nothing, so he just willed it over. He fought it over. My problem is he can't make something out of something. When you give him something, he can't make much out of it because he might get you 2 or 3. He might. There's a hole, half a hole.
You know what it is, Skip? You've been spoiled by Derrick Henry, because every time you turn on your TV, you see a 265 man going 50, 60, 70, 80 yards.
Okay, well, you can also make the point, I got spoiled by Zeke.
Yeah.
Love Zeke. I was good with the drafting of Zeke, even though I thought they needed Joey Bosa. I said, this guy is so explosive.
You know what got you spoiled is Ohio State Zeke. Those last 4 games.
Okay, but how about 2016?
Yes.
Rookie Zeke, he ran for 109 yards a game.
Yes.
And that fell to 98 the next year, which fell to 96. Still, it's okay. These are yards per game. Then all of a sudden that fell precipitously to 85 in 2019. And this year it fell all the way to 65 yards a game.
Even 80, you could live with 85, because 85 is a very good season, Skip.
Do you realize he has plummeted from 109 to 65 yards per game? That's almost 45-yard drop per game.
That's not an accident, because look at what happened. Zach Martin, not in the lineup.
I got you.
Travis Frederick and Tyron Smith.
Okay.
That's not an accident, Skip.
Pro Football Focus grades Zeke right now the 44th best running back in the 44th, and you're the highest paid? And let's look at this. Ezekiel Elliott this season had the 5th most rushing attempts in all of pro football. Okay, I'm good with that, because that's your bell cow, okay? That 65 yards a game ranked 15th in the league, but this is even worse. 4.01 yards per carry, 5th most carries, 4.01 yards per carry. That ranked 41st in pro football. So you're getting the 5th most carries, but yards per carry is only 41st in. What's happening? 1 yard, 2 yards, 1 yard, 2 yards, 3 yards, 2 yards, 1 yard, no yards.
Well, see, if I'd been take Jerry at his words, I blame Kellen Moore, because he's holding them back. Now, isn't that what Jerry told us? Jerry said Kellen Moore has been holding this offense back.
Said that.
So is he going to be holding Zeke and this offense back next year?
I got it. But do you realize they still owe him $75 million? Do you realize on March 21st, coming March 21st, there's an escalator where you would then guarantee his 2022 salary at $12.4 million if you exercise. Are you going to? Are you going to go tap him on the shoulder and Jerry's going to pull him aside, maybe take him upstairs to the office? Zeke, we love you, but we need you to help out here a little bit and take one for the team, and we need you to renegotiate.
How about the haircut you talk about getting me?
I don't know.
Are you going to let me go to my barber and let me get a professional cut, or you sending me to great clips?
And then you have to make a hard choice here, because he's about half of what he used to be, literally half on yardage of what he used to be. And you have to say, is it worth it to go forward?
Okay, okay. Dak got hurt. So Dak couldn't perform to what we thought he would be, so we're going to take him off the board. Okay, you say Zeke didn't perform to what we think he should. But what about these other big dollar guys? What about Amari? What about D-Law? What about Jalen Smith? Do you believe they performed up to their capabilities?
They did not.
So because Zeke
not overall. They had their flashes. They had their moments.
And Zeke had his moments, and that's my point.
He had one moment against Philadelphia. He went for 131 yards.
Skip.
And that came, was it one? No, it wasn't even that many. He got 31 yards on his last carry to get to 105.
105, like that.
That's what it was.
Skip, the thing is that they always say, that's why you make the big bucks. Okay, guys that's making the big bucks, Skip, those are the guys that you count on a regular basis. And far too many. 1 week I see D-Law, you say he showed up on Pro Football Focus, and then it'll be another 5 weeks he wouldn't be on there.
I agree.
So you got to have your guys that you're counting on, that you're paying a ton of money to. Those are the guys that need to show up week in and week out. And far too many times, those big dollar guys that we're counting on didn't give you kind of the counterproduction for the pay that they were receiving.
So you got me. Jerry Jones overpaid for everybody except the quarterback, and he dug in on the quarterback, but we still don't have a quarterback.
Exactly.
It's the most important position in sports.
And guess what?
Right?
Andy Dalton did nothing to make you say, you know what, we can move forward without Dak.
No. And Andy Dalton said after the game last night, I want to test the market because somebody might pay him to be their starter. I don't know. Somebody might.
Yes. And you know what? There might be some trades available. Who knows what's going to go on? Now, obviously, somebody might still want Matthew Stafford, Matt Ryan. There might be some guys that's available, Skip.
I got you. Zeke, I still love you, but...
Would you like Matt Stafford in Dallas?
Yeah, I'd take him.
Yeah. You see that, Dak? You see how quick he done turned on you. Matthew Padford.
I'm surprised by that. Okay. Let's see. I'm curious how
for how
Skip
much money?
feels.
It's going to cost a lot.
Oh, well, it's all about the money.
No mercy.
Aaron Rodgers lit up the Bears for 4 touchdowns on 240 passing yards en route to a 35-16 victory that clinched the NFC's top seed. Rodgers finished the season as the MVP favorite thanks to his league-leading 48 passing touchdowns. The Packers veteran also had the fewest interceptions of any quarterback who started all 16 games this season with just 5. So, Shannon, on a scale of 1 to 10, how impressive was Rodgers' season?
On a scale of 1 to 10, or on a scale of 1 to 10 million? Because he
10 million?
Yeah, Skip, he did it, Skip. He did it. He finished first in completion percentage, touchdown passes, touchdown percentage, interception percentage, passer rating, QBR, total touchdowns, adjusted yards per attempt. Skip, it's an unbelievable season. Think about this. Aaron Rodgers threw more touchdown passes than his team punted the football. Yeah, you heard me correctly. I said Aaron Rodgers threw more touchdowns than J.K. Scott had punts. His last 2 games, when he slammed the door, when it was neck and neck, he and Mahomes, or he and Josh Allen for MVP, 8 touchdowns, 9 incompletions. Game, set, match, Rodgers. It's over. Skip, it was a 10. It's a 10 times 10 to... This is the crescendo of Aaron Rodgers. Like I said, that 2011 season when I believe he was 45-6. He was phenomenal. He was like, the guy threw 45 touchdowns with 6 picks. He said, I got better. He did 48-5. Skip, that's ridiculous. That is utterly ridiculous that the man put up these kinds of numbers. So he was a 10. He's going to be the MVP. I believe Derrick Henry will win Offensive Player of the Year. But the MVP is over. It's done. He finished it off the last 2 weeks in the way he should because you needed to they wanted home field. He openly talked about it, Skip. And the thing that I like about Aaron Rodgers is that he's not cliche-ish. He's going to tell you exactly how he feel. I want that home field. I want somebody to come here. I'm going to do my thing.
Never had it.
He said, I'm coming to get it. He said,
went
now.
to one long ago Super Bowl as a road wild card team, right?
Yes, he did that.
And since then, it's been really slim pickings for him.
Because you know why?
He's 6 and 7 in the postseason since that one wild card run.
You see the guy that was holding him back? He coached your team. Look at your team. Your team won 8.
I thought he was transcendent.
Hold on, Skip. Your team last year won 8 games with 8-8 Jason Garrett. He comes there and wins 2 fewer games than 8-8. And you think.
So, I'm going to be objective on this side of the table about Aaron Rodgers' season. I'm going to give him an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10.
This is a bull jive. This is a good bull jive.
I don't. This is not bull jive because I got the facts here.
Okay, give me facts.
Are that he had some rough outings camouflaged by all those touchdown passes because at Tampa Bay,
Okay, Tampa Bay.
he had a QBR of 12. He threw nearly 2 straight pick sixes, and in the second half, actually the last 3 quarters of the game, he scored 0 points.
He scored 0. That's 1 game, so they got 15 to go. Give me the other.
How about the worst team in pro football went up to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, the Jaguars, and Aaron barely won the game 24-20 with a QBR of 45, which scaled 0 to 100 is below average against the Jaguars.
Okay, that's...
At Indy, he's leading 28-14 at halftime, and he stunk it up in the second half.
What was his QBR?
And needed a field goal to send it to overtime, and they lost in overtime.
Tell the people what happened now. Tell the people that...
74, not great, not bad. But again, the second half, he stunk. And speaking of stinking, to your point about not being cliche-ridden as a speaker, post-game speaker, he flat out said, I stunk in the second half. At home against Carolina, when Teddy Bridgewater had a better QBR than Aaron Rodgers, he stunk in the second half. He threw for a grand total of 44 yards in the second half against Carolina.
But see, here's the thing, though.
What?
You saying he stunk in those games that he won. He won those games.
Okay. Now let's look at degree of difficulty, shall we? Going into yesterday, and obviously he had a huge loss to David Bakhtiari, his tackle.
Yes.
But going into yesterday, Pro Football Focus ranked his offensive line 2nd best in pro football.
Yeah.
Ranked his rushing attack 4th best in pro football.
Okay.
Ranked his go-to receiver, Davante Adams, number 1 in all of football because he leads in every category. He leads in catches and yards and targets because he should. He's been that good. And I ask you, if Devontae Smith can win the Heisman Trophy, which I believe he will, shouldn't Davante Adams at least be in the MVP conversation because he's helping make Aaron Rodgers with all those touchdown passes?
We saw Calvin Johnson have almost 2,000 yards and not getting the MVP conversation. And normally, even when Jerry...
Maybe he should have.
Even when Randy broke the record, who won the MVP that season?
Well,
Tom Brady.
Okay.
Because you're going to say, look at the guy. Skip, you know what? In a normal year, maybe... Because there are some quarterbacks that had outstanding years. Josh Allen had an outstanding year, Skip. So did Mahomes. So
did Tom Brady.
Russell Wilson, sure.
Yes.
But Skip, I don't know how you overlook 48-5.
Well, he is the MVP, but you asked me to rank the quality of the MVP. I'll give it an 8 on a scale of 10. That's actually pretty high.
When's the last time we saw a guy leading all these statistical categories?
Yep.
Everyone from top to bottom. Skip, you said, okay, passing touchdowns, he got that. QBR, you love QBR. He won that.
What was his QBR last year at San Francisco in the NFC Championship game? 23, because he turned it over three times.
You told me that you told me to start the show. The pass has nothing to do with right now. That's what you told me.
Well, I'm just saying, now he's got something he's never had. He's got home field to the Super Bowl.
He got that.
If he can take advantage of it. Can he?
Whether or not, no, we're not, that wasn't the question.
Can
the
he
question,
beat Tampa Bay on the frozen tundra? We'll see about that.
The question was, greatest season.
Yep.
He gets a 10.
Okay, we'll see where he goes from here. And he was fired up because they tried to replace him.
Yeah, considering how the season started for Aaron Rodgers, he's playing with plenty to prove, and it's working. And that is hard for me to say.
I can't believe you gave that man an 8.
Coming from Minnesota.
No mercy.
Also over the weekend, the Lakers beat the Spurs on Friday night, 109-103 for back-to-back wins over San Antonio. LeBron had 26 points in both games, but more importantly, the wins means that Shannon won this bet with Skip that the Lakers would sweep the Spurs. So, Skip, what do you have to say for yourself?
I got snookered. I had no idea 6'11" LaMarcus Aldridge wouldn't play in either game with a sore knee. He would have punished you inside because you are soft in the middle. No Dwight, no JaVale. And yet and still, with 28 seconds left in the Saturday night game, what happened? Did you see this? Can we see this real quick? LeBron, he just runs over. Derek White just ran over him, and they let him score. We should have had the basketball down 2, and I believe Patty Mills would have won the game with a 3. You got another break. You had one of those weekends where you got every break conceivable.
You're going to get enough of betting against the King. Now, I told you this was going to happen. And you see what happened the night before. Miss Triple Dub, she quarantined in San Antonio. Yeah. Now, she really loved LeBron. For you to spend your night in San Antonio on New Year's Eve so you can be there to witness this trip, Dub, got it, got you again, and gonna win me some more. You see how great weekend, great
did you
weekend.
Have inside information on LaMarcus Aldridge's knee?
Skip, you could have had David Aldridge, Lily Aldridge, and LaMarcus Aldridge. Lakers swept him.
Yeah. No Dwight, you're stuck with that big glacier in the middle.
That's okay. He's doing a good job. Doing a good job. Just keep doing what you do. You see what LeBron did last night to the Grizz?
Yeah, I'm afraid if they turn up the temperature too high, he's just going to melt in the lane.
Don't worry about it. But, hey, you see what LeBron doing? You see?
I see him charge a lot.
Don't do that, Skip. Yeah. Don't do that. See,
get him an account in San Antonio. He charges everything.
I go into the weekend down 6 cases. I come out the weekend up 5 cases. How'd that happen?
You're feeling confident.
Go get some more before the weekend.
It'll change soon.
You still did bet $1 billion once. I don't know how
I'm going to get that back, too.
Now, that is it for Undisputed. Great stuff today, guys. Have a good day.